Hi everyone, Gemma Fisher here from Daybreak Dogs in North Somerset, coming to you on a very sunny November day, and I'm just going to flip you around so that you can see where I am. It seemed appropriate because the topic today was about walking your dog, that I should be somewhere where I love walking mine. So let me just flip you around and you will be able to see, hopefully, she says. Okay, my phone doesn't want to play ball. I have to turn you the other way. Here we go, all right. So this is one of my most favourite places to walk the dogs. This is Goblin Combe in North Somerset, and as you can see, the views, though it's a long way up and it's quite a steep climb, it's well worth the view. It just is gorgeous. So that's where I am today. Just bring you back round, and today I've had questions in the past and in the past week actually about what do I do when my dog is what we might quote as reactive with other dogs, and reactive can mean different things for different people, but let me just clarify. When I'm talking about reactive, I'm talking about barking, lunging, generally being a little bit antisocial, that sort of a thing. So it's really interesting because I love walking my dogs. I enjoy it. I find it very relaxing. But as I say, in the past week, I've been out either with people with dogs, or I've seen people in consultations, and they tell me that they don't enjoy walking their dog very often. And that's really sad because, as I say, for me, it's such a relaxing activity. But of course, when I come out with mine, for the most part, they will just simply ignore other dogs as we walk past. And if they do notice them at all, then they might sniff noses and then carry on. But there's no, big reactive displays that I need worry about. But if you have a dog with reactive issues, which I have had in the past, Vodka Sour, my young girl from Italy, when she arrived, she had a bit of a neck problem, and it meant that she was very reactive to things. And it was a really difficult time for me because I hadn't had a dog that was particularly worried about being around other dogs. So if that's you, then please do just hit the sad face button and write comment in the comments below about what sort of thing that your dog finds difficult, because it'd be nice to try and address that for you throughout the broadcast. So I've got a few things that I'm going to suggest that you check out. And one thing I should say is that none of this is a quick fix. If you have a dog that is anxious or stressed, or on the other end of the spectrum, frustrated because they can't get to say hello to a dog, then there isn't a quick fix where I can say, here, get your dog this pill and then it'll all be sorted. It's not quite that simple, I'm afraid. But here are just a few things that I would suggest that you do to help your dog cope a little bit better. So first off, one of the things I've noticed is that dogs that struggle around other dogs, not always, although I can't actually think of an example for you where it didn't. Apologies. One of the downsides of this walk is that, I don't know if you can see, there we go, it's very close to Bristol Airport. So it's perhaps not the best place to choose for a broadcast, but it was so beautiful I couldn't help myself. So yes, so one of the things that is a really key thing is that the dog, if they're reactive to other dogs or other people, or anything really, that I would have them checked out to make sure that there's no physical thing going on first off. Now, my dogs get treated regularly by the Smart Clinic, and you'll have seen posts about how wonderful I think they are there. And some of you might switch off at this point thinking, well, do you know what, Gemma, I'm not an agility person, I'm just a regular pet owner, and you know what, I have a difficult dog. Well, I'm just going to reach out to you particularly and say, one of the reasons I think agility dogs can be quite lucky in some respects is that if they have something that is sore or uncomfortable, then what potentially is going to happen is that's going to impact on their performance, and that means that they are more likely to get checked out than perhaps your regular dog that's going out for a daily walk. Because, as I say, if it's impacting on performance, then somebody will notice that. But sometimes when we go out walking with our dogs, and particularly at this time of year, not for my friends in Australia, Tracy, I've seen that you're online, hello. But certainly here in the UK, it's really muddy and wet underfoot in places. It's a gorgeous day today, but we've had some proper weather in the last week. And when dogs are running around, they can easily slip and potentially pull or strain a muscle. And if that goes undiagnosed, it's a bit like you or I, that it will gradually, our bodies will compensate, but other areas of our body might get sore in the compensation. And then we end up with a bad back or a sore neck or whatever. And I know personally, and I'm sure most of you would probably be able to imagine this, that when you have a headache, are you the best version of yourself, or are you tending to be a little bit snappy or want to be off by yourself and maybe don't want to go and socialise with people? That's potentially how it is for your dog. So that's my first piece of advice. If you have a dog that is a bit reactive, then you need to get that checked out first. And that can be a physical ailment, i.e., sore muscles or some sort of structural problem. Or it can be maybe some sort of medical issue that needs investigation by your vet, so blood tests and the like. Okay, so that's number one. Second of all, you need to find a good trainer or a behaviourist that ideally the trainer, if you find a trainer, should work closely with a behaviourist. So I work closely with a couple of people. Rosie Biscoby at Pet Sense in Porter's Head, which is very local to me. But also Jan Windsor of Understanding Dogs, who is a bit further down country from us. And both behaviourists are just brilliant. And the way that we work together is simple. I see a dog which I feel is a little beyond the range of my level of experience, and they take that dog on, and what we do then is we work together in partnership, and maybe they come back to me and we follow some sort of a plan that they've put together. So if you ever, one of the things that I find about trainers and behaviourists is, if you ever find somebody that says, oh yes, it's definitely this, and I couldn't possibly be wrong, please worry, okay? Because we all make mistakes, we do. And I think one of the things that being open to new information and regular professional development, that sort of thing, is really, really key. So if that person has not done any recent work, or is potentially being maybe dismissive of your concerns, something like that, then I would maybe just, you might want to find somebody else. I think you need to be comfortable with the person you're working with, I guess is what I'm saying. So first tip is check out the physical. All right, make sure that that's okay. Second tip is find a good trainer or a behaviourist. Third tip is please don't ask people on Facebook. All right. I put together these videos because I want to make sure that people are on the right track, but I don't expect to fix things in a half-hour, live broadcast. I really don't. So one of the things about asking on Facebook is that you are potentially asking people that are not professionally qualified to give you advice. And one of the things I must avoid doing is reading things very late at night that upset me, where people have asked for advice about things like I saw one yesterday on separation anxiety, and somebody was giving some advice, and I was just, it was I'm afraid bad advice. It was the sort of thing where the advice should have been, check it out with a qualified behaviourist, because these sorts of things can become bigger if we don't sort them out properly, and they can become worse for well-meaning advice if we don't if we're not careful. Okay, so as I say, physical, get a good trainer behaviourist, and then thirdly, don't ask on Facebook. Okay, Facebook is brilliant for lots and lots of things, and it's great for connecting people, but as I say, if you need help and advice with your dog, you really are in something like this situation with a dog that's reactive to things, you need to find out why. Now, fourthly, one of the things that I have come across in the last week or so is there is it's a good thing in so much as with positive reinforcement training taking a bit of a lead, and I'm really pleased about that, because that's how I want dogs to be treated. I want them to be reinforced for the things that they do well, and but what I don't want to do is I don't want to allow dogs to do whatever if they do whatever they feel like, then potentially they can get themselves into mischief, and that's not good for you, and it's not good for your dog either, potentially. So one of the things that has come up is that mostly when people see a dog that is reactive, i.e. barking or lunging, that they will immediately diagnose that dog as frightened or worried. Now, I think it's always better to give the dog the benefit of the doubt in that respect, because I don't want to start work with a dog that is worried or frightened without being able to work out what's going on and look into that in more depth. But if you have that sort of a dog, it's it's not as simple as just training and the problem will go away. There are certain things like desensitization and that sort of thing that need to go in place. And this is again where your trainer or your behaviourist, needs to be involved. But there are dogs that are being diagnosed as frightened or worried when in actual fact they are frustrated. And unfortunately, frustrated and worried can look a little bit the same. So it can be easy to get confused between the two. But the problem is that if you treat a frustrated greeter, apologies, more claims, if you treat a frustrated greeter in the same way that you do a dog that is worried, then you will not get the results that you're hoping for. So the thing for me is that in some ways, from a training perspective, this is not a behavioural perspective, but from a training perspective, one of the things that I would look to do with both dogs is I would look to set in place some training, almost like I'm setting up a training box around that dog. And for the dogs that are frustrated and they're barking and lunging because they want to get to things, anybody that's ever been to an agility show, you may recognise dogs around the ring like this that just want to get involved in what's going on and they don't like missing out on the action. But the boundaries of the training box for them are about boundaries. Exactly that. They are about making sure that the dog knows where it stands and that the training keeps them in a place where they can be calm and they can think. Okay. Now, the thing is with a slightly worried dog or one that is anxious about things, the box is also necessary. The training box is also necessary, but it's necessary for different reasons. So I'm not sure if you can see Vodka in the back. Sorry, she's just having a lovely walk. She said, I found me a ball, and I do love me a ball. Bless her. Sorry, distracted by my dogs. They're beautiful, don't you think? They are lovely. But so for Diva, one of my, I guess we could describe her. She has her anxious moments. The thing about Diva is that training box, as far as she's concerned, that keeps her safe. Because within that training box, within the parameters and the boundaries of that training box, she is kept safe. So, as I say, from both ends of the spectrum, the training box is necessary, but there would be extra things that I would do with the dog that was anxious or worried because I need to work on the emotional state of that dog alongside the training. So training in itself won't work with that dog. And in many ways, with the frustrated dog, it won't work on its own either, because I do need to work on, again, the emotional state of that dog and make sure that we are helping that dog learn good levels of self-control and more appropriate ways of demonstrating when they are frustrated. So one of the things that Vodka will do, for example, when she wants something, she will demonstrate that by sitting. She will pop herself into a sit. She will say, please, I would like to do this. Now, she at that point has two options. One is she escalates that to barking, which sometimes she does if nobody has noticed that she sat by the back door and she'd like to go out, please and thank you. But second off, it may be that I do notice and I say, no, it's not appropriate, can you go and settle down? And she also has to be able to take that information as well, and she needs to be able to understand that actually when I tell her that no, that's not appropriate, that's the end of that sort of thing as well. Okay, so as I say, working out which type of dog you are working with is really, really key. And that's my big fourth tip for you. But what I would say is that most people would find that quite difficult. I have found that difficult when I'm working with my own dogs, simply because you're too close sometimes. So always get some help, guys, because it really makes a huge difference. So as I say, those are my four things for you today. One is make sure that your dog is physically okay. Second off is consult with a qualified trainer, behaviourist. Thirdly, don't ask on Facebook, all right? But by all means, ask for help about finding a good trainer or behaviourist, but I wouldn't necessarily ask for advice because, as I say, not everybody's qualified to give that. And number four, identify what sort of a dog that you are working with. Why are they barking? Why are they lunging? What is causing their issues? Because without knowing that, you can't fix things, guys. You really can't. You need to make sure that you understand what is going on for that dog in order that you can help them. As I say, the frustrated ones are tricky because, as I say, from a positive reinforcement, force-free, world, people will struggle with, but I'm feeding treats and it's not working. The thing is, treats on their own do not work. There do need to be boundaries in place, and that isn't about using punishment as well as the other side of that coin. It isn't that at all, but it is about saying, you know what, when I ask you to do something and I know that you've been reinforced heavily, like for example with vodka yesterday at agility, she's been reinforced heavily, like thousands, possibly 1 million treats for lying down quietly on an agility table. You know what, if she falls off that table, you still there, miss? She's ignoring me now. When she falls off that table, the gust of wind caught her and she's fallen off. You know what? I'm within my rights to say, young lady, pull your socks up. Where should you be? All right? And she has that understanding to be able to say, whoops, that wasn't quite right. Okay? So it should always start with understanding on both sides, understanding why your dog is struggling, but also your dog understanding that when you ask them to do things, it is important, because that's how we keep our dogs safe. Okay? Right, so that's more or less it for today, but by all means, if anybody has any questions, then I'm happy to have a quick look at questions. I'm working from my old phone, I'm afraid, because that was the only problem about coming up on to the top of Goblin Combe, that the signal wasn't great on my new phone, which is O2, and this one is EE. So shout out to EE for making it possible for me to broadcast up on the top of Goblin Combe. One thing that I wanted to finish with today, it is actually the end of November and we are heading rapidly into December and the madness that is Christmas. So one thing that I wanted to do was, I wanted to say, I'm going to wind up broadcasting for 2016 today, and I'm going to come back on in January. And one of the things I wanted to ask everybody was what sort of a format that you would like to see in 2017. So, the reason I'm doing these live broadcasts is because I want to help people. So if I can understand better what it would be to help you, then that would obviously be brilliant from my point of view and from yours. So if you enjoy the length of the broadcast that I do so far, if you enjoy the day that it is, the time that it is, if you have thoughts on any of those things, please pop a comment in the comments, and I will take those into account when I start thinking and planning for January 2017. Meanwhile, Toddy's training is going well, so my little man will be 11 weeks old tomorrow. That's my young border collie puppy. He'll be 11 weeks old tomorrow, and things will be continuing in the Puppy Diaries. So if you aren't already a member of the Facebook group, the Puppy Diaries, please come and join us there, because it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of good information being shared there about how to raise puppies to be happy, confident adult dogs. So please do join us there. And as I say, if you have any thoughts about what could improve the broadcast, what sort of things you'd like to see in the future. One thing my team and I were talking about when we got together for a meeting last week was how regularly I should be in contact. I don't like to bombard people with emails, guys, but if you would like maybe an email at the beginning of the week to say, you know, what do you want to hear in the Friday Fisher Fix, and potentially like a pre-notice warning of when it's going to be, let me know, because I can send out those emails easily enough, but as I say, just don't want to feel like I'm bombarding people. So let me know what your preferences would be, and I will look to accommodate that for you. Right then, my girls have been waiting very patiently. Let me just show you. In fact, let me spin you around because it's easier, I think. There we go. So the girls have been waiting very patiently. I have an Ella, I have a Jade, I have a Vodka, which is alarming because there should be a Diva too. Here we go. There's a Diva over there eating something, no doubt, that I don't want to know about. So let me turn you back round. There we go. Oh. Right then, so we are going to head on our way. We're going to get home, and we will leave you to your Friday. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Enjoy your dogs, and let me know what you would like to see in 2017. But meanwhile, I know it's a bit early, but have a wonderful Christmas, and I look forward to chatting to you again in 2017. All right, take care. Bye-bye.